Maybe, yeah. I mean, for me, I don't need an explanation. I thought it was a good title. I thought it was a great couple of words together when I was singing the background vocals, in the studio. That's always the first time I read the words is when I'm about to sing the background vocals, and I'm familiar with the melodies, but the words he usually writes at the last minute, and so I put the piece of paper in front of me, and I'm about to start fitting my harmony with the words that I'm seeing on the paper and that I'm hearing him singing, and figuring out how I'm going to phrase things and stuff like that. And I saw that, that word Stadium Arcadium, and it just looked beautiful to me, And for me, I'm a person, I don't really need more than that, I don't need to know what I'm the Walrus means, I think it's a beautiful song and it's a beautiful collection of words, and for me, like, it's very unimportant what it means, because I think usually, even when we think we know what things mean, I don't really think we do. I mean, words in people's heads, even if it's the same words, they mean one thing to one person, they mean another thing to the other person. They're not very precise, so if you get a feeling from something, to me, that's the important thing. The transference is being made, if you get a feeling from it. And for me, I got that feeling from it, so I didn't even question it when it came up as an idea for the title of the album. There's no question that was the perfect title, Recently, I came across a word called arcanum that means secret.
Yes.
And I started to wonder if maybe the spirits were trying to tell him Stadium Arcanum, and he interpreted it as Stadium Arcadium, because Arcadium's not a word and Arcanum is, but, either way, I think it means the same thing.
Sorry.
It's just all part of my growth. I guess in the band it often feels like there's this momentum, this energy, this force that carries the band, that's been carrying the band since 1983, and when we get together to write songs, we're just getting inside that force, and that force has its own momentum, and it's a very effortless kind of thing, because all I have to do is be intending to make a Red Hot Chili Peppers album, and music comes out of me that I identify with the spirit of the band, on my solo albums, there's really no one momentum that carries it. The momentum that might carry one album is different than the momentum that carries another album, and it's really like in a way, my albums take more effort, and in a way, they take less. Like, I probably have to hustle more to get my own albums, like, happening or to get them out there, but at the same time, I can make my own records in, like, 4 days, and Chili Peppers, this record took a year, so in a way, maybe my records have a just as big of a force carrying them along. It just works differently, For me, there is that difference of really feeling like when you do something in a band, you can't really take credit for it, even on songs where I wrote the basis of the sections, they turn into something completely, that I never would have expected when everybody else in the band adds something to them, to where I definitely don't feel any more responsible for any of the songs than anybody else in the band, and obviously on my solo songs, it's me that's writing them, whereas like in this band, we really do write as a team, and so I'm not any one of us can think of it as ourselves being responsible. Anthony feels like his melodies are inside of the music already, and whenever Flea and I write bass parts or guitar parts to each other's music, we feel like we're just playing what's inside. Like, if I write a guitar part, I feel like it's inside of his bass line before I write it, So yeah, so there's a big energy carrying this band, and that it's one of the fun things about it is, okay, this energy's here. What can I do within this to do something different that hasn't been done by the band before? It's like so what ends up being the same thing as the Chili Peppers' first demo ends up being more of a feeling than it is any kind of a musical structure. You know, the musical structure is completely changed. You know, but the feeling is still the same. You know. I think it's always been that. I've always been as important as I am now in the band. I think uh, people might not have recognized it, maybe because Flea and Anthony are more famous or something like that. But ever since Blood Sugar, I've I've written, you know, as much as I've written on this album, I wrote on those albums. You know, there's really like, I think now that I'm playing more guitar solos and longer guitar solos, people are paying attention to me more. But I'm not really doing anything that I wasn't doing before. I was always equally important. I think it was more maybe an image that might have come from the media that Flea and Anthony had more to do with it than me, because it was never like that. We were always ever since Blood Sugar, we were a really equal. We were a band of equals, you know, and democratic band and the music was always coming from me or from Flea by about 50% from each of us, you know. So yeah, I mean, you know, as far as the guitar playing, like, I just change all the time. To me, I like the guitar playing on this album better than anything that I've done before, but it's not so much that it's any kind of a linear progression, you know, because if you look at it the way people look at it, you'd probably think that By the Way would be the lowest, and California above that, Californication above that, and Blood Sugar above that, and then this album, Stadium Arcadium. But that's not the chronological order that they went in, you know. To me, I just have to keep shifting around, you know. I just have to keep changing and keep approaching the guitar from a new angle to keep myself interested in it, you know. That's why on the last album I liked playing straight, you know. I liked the rhythm very straight, and on this album I like the rhythm very off time and awkward, you know. On the last album I liked everything perfect. On this album I like everything to be messed up. On you know, on the last album I was thinking about melody. On this album I was thinking about rhythm. You know, it's I have to be very diametrically different than I was 2 years ago or 3 years ago for me to still keep being interested in playing. That's why even now, when we were making the album, I was thinking in terms of rhythm all the time. Now I'm thinking in terms of harmony, and I'm listening to classical music all the time. When we were listening to the album, I only wanted to hear music for the rhythm of it. I didn't care about the chords of it or anything, you know. So it's more about me just having to change. And I think it just so happens that in this incarnation of who I am, in this part of my evolution process, I'm playing in a way that's drawing more attention to myself, but that's not why I'm playing that way, you know. It's like, it's true, like, I really at this point in my life, I really love flashy guitar players, you know, from whether it's like Eddie Van Halen or Randy Rhoads or Jimi Hendrix or Jimmy Page or Jeff Beck. Like, I love that kind of guitar playing right now. 4 years ago, you couldn't pay me to listen to that kind of guitar playing. I just didn't care about it at all. I was liking really simple guitar players who played really simple. I just changed, you know, and so to me, when I was playing simple, people thought, oh, you know, he's. I mean, I don't know what people think, you know, but I could imagine people thinking less of my guitar playing because that was my angle. But it wasn't that I was any less of a guitar player then. It was just that I just was thinking in a way of being subtle and being, you know, not putting myself out in the forefront, not playing solos and stuff. Now I like playing solos, you know.